Make sure I got all of my other little outlets and stuff, man. What's going on, Kevin? You know what I'm saying? What's up with you? What's up, Antoine? How you doing? Let's
What's
just get
going
it.
on, bro?
Yeah. So
They're
when was the
good.
last?
No complaints on this end.
Yeah, good seeing you, gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Ready to, you know what I'm saying? Get things popping and beat the topic to sleep. You
Oh,
know.
you got it working now, huh? You got it
Oh yeah.
working now.
You see when I put my other little speak up there, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I want to get right into it while I still set up all the other things, and we will run this video, and I'll be right back.
Hey,
All right.
Vic. What's his name's not with Alabama anymore?
Nick Saban,
Yeah.
yeah, man, we're gonna come back to that. Let's run this video, Kevin.
Mm, I got you. All right.
Hi, guys. I'm about to dive into a topic that most people skirt around because they don't want to ruffle feathers. But I'm not most people. You've seen it, I've seen it, we've all seen it. The dreaded lack of accountability in women. In today's society, we're force fed this narrative of female empowerment. And I get it to a certain extent, but we are seriously missing the mark when that empowerment is mistaken for entitlement and accountability is thrown out the window. We're caught up in a world that shields women from accountability, a world that allows, encourages, and even incentivizes them to escape from the consequences of their actions. See, women always like to talk about double standards when it suits them. However, they fail to realize the double standards that are out here that work in their favor. This goes back to childhood. A little girl is raised to be able to get away with more things than a boy. A little girl can lie, get caught in that lie, and be let off the hook way easier than a boy simply because she's a girl. Her punishments will typically be way more lenient than a boy. Boys are raised almost from the start to take accountability and that is key.
All right. Now, Vic, this is what you talk about all the time when you say little boys are told no at a much higher rate than girls, and also men are told no at a much higher rate than women. How are you guys liking this right now? You guys kind of vibing with what she's saying, or do we need to go ahead
Oh,
and continue?
absolutely.
Yeah,
No, she's on point.
yeah.
Okay. All
We,
right. All right.
we,
I'll go ahead and
it's
continue.
on the stove.
All right. I'll go ahead and continue. Hold on. All right.
This disparity subconsciously teaches little girls a sense of entitlement. This teaches her that she can get away with anything simply because of her gender. They learn to avoid responsibility, thinking that they're like exempt from consequences just because they're females. It's a toxic cycle that's carried into adulthood. The result is a world where too many women think that they can avoid taking responsibility in relationships, jobs, and life in general, all while blaming someone else. This is what's at the cornerstone of female liberation, Me Too, feminism, etc. Always somebody else's mistake, someone else's fault, never their own. And this narrative is so pervasive that it has successfully infected society to its core. Society has given women an abundance of choices. And the downside is the more choices you tend to have, the less accountability you feel like you have to take because you can always hide behind another choice. This is why I say the vast majority of women are narcissistic in nature. And I've gotten a lot of hate from that.
Jesus Christ. so, so let's go ahead and pause that. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of
let's
women
pause that for a second.
are narcissistic in nature. You know what I'm saying? Like that's wild, Joe. That's I mean,
Look,
what y'all think about
well,
that?
well, the reality is that most times when you're hearing this, the social media use, or we basically talk about what we see on social media and probably in regular life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But social media is like the bottleneck where everybody gets to trauma bond with everybody on their own experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a lot of clinical diagnosis taking place in this, but typically there's a lot of projection.
Mm-hmm.
So, because if when you hear somebody say I was in a relationship with a narcissist, right,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and like where did you learn to identify that at? You
Well,
have
that's
to,
the reason. Yeah,
you have to
that's
have
the reason
some,
why I brought this up right here. I
yeah,
went ahead and brought the definition up.
Mm-hmm.
So we read the definition of narcissist. The narcissist is someone who is extremely self-centered and has an exaggerated sense of self-importance. They may also be described as overly self-involved, vain, and selfish. So when people say that he was a narcissist or she was a narcissist, this is what they're meaning. A person who is extremely self-centered, like they want everything their way all the time. Fuck
Oh,
everybody else. You know
fuck
what I'm
everybody
saying?
else. Can't take
Pretty
a L.
much.
Can't take
Yeah.
a L.
No.
No way. You just can't have a bad day.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
catastrophic. Everything is, you know what I'm saying, a failure. Nothing that you did before counted. It
Nope.
doesn't matter. You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? Not
Mm-hmm.
to them.
No.
So
No. Yeah. Yeah. So fellas, pretty much when you read this definition right here, this would explain why women don't say I'm sorry. They don't apologize for their wrongs.
yeah, hold
It
up.
explains that. It really does explain that. You know what I'm saying? And she said most women. That's what she said. She didn't say the minority woman. She said most women representing the majority. So, being a female herself, she's been around more women than we have. So, of course, she would know. All right.
Yep. She ain't got no reason to exaggerate it.
No, 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 not at all. Not at all. Let's go ahead and go to the next, John. Hold on.
Let's
Let's
do it.
go ahead. Let's go ahead and.
For anyone who doesn't believe me, let me throw some facts your way to prove my point. Number one, female narcissists tend to hate when they're not the center of attention, and they go to excessive lengths to make sure that the spotlight
right
is
there.
focused on them. Doesn't this sum up?
Go
All
back
right.
and read that definition again.
All right, we're going to go ahead and go back and read the definition of narcissist. Okay, a narcissist is someone who is extremely self-centered and has an exaggerated a sense of self-importance. They may also be described as overly self-involved, vain, and selfish.
Okay. We can go ahead and continue because is that not what she just said?
That's exactly what she said.
Okay. She shoot. You know what I'm saying? Let her keep shooting.
Yeah.
Tend to pursue men who are already in committed relationships, and they then aim to sabotage those relationships. How many women out here not only sleep with married men, but prefer married men or men in relationships? Number three, female narcissists tend to self-victimize. How many men are locked up right now because a woman provoked him, and then when he actually finally reacted, she played the victim? These men are locked away. Their futures and records.
Okay, so that explains one of the scenes in Baby Boy, right?
Yep.
Yvette going crazy on Jody and beating the hell out of him and everything, swinging on him, and Jody goes back and slaps her. And I can't believe you hit me, Jody. She's playing the victim, although she pretty much started the feud. She started the fight, but she's playing the victim. You know what I'm saying? So this is exactly what she's explaining right here. Is she spot on, fellas?
She hadn't missed yet.
Yep.
You know.
All right. Any other talking points? Can we continue?
Yeah. Hey, look, she cooking. I'm gonna wait for the meal. You know.
Records ruined because a woman refused to accept her part in a situation. Instead of admitting that she provoked him, she cries victim. Instead of owning her consent, she regrets it and then later screams, that's not justice, that's manipulation. That's a severe lack of accountability. The truth is that men are being sacrificed, their lives completely ruined, all on the altar of female innocence. Now let's flip the script. How many women do you think are locked away right now because a man lied to dodge accountability? I bet my body.
No women are locked up for that. No
Yeah.
women are locked up because a man didn't want to be accountable for his actions. Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
Nope.
That's not something that was there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a big difference, isn't it?
Extremely. Hey,
All
go
right,
for
all
it.
right.
Yeah, keep
All
cooking.
right, let's keep cooking. All right.
Bottom dollar. You can't find very many because women know that the legal system tends to lean in their favor. They're very much aware that they're more likely to be believed, and a lot of them exploit this. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every single woman lacks accountability. I know plenty of women that do their fair share of owning up to their actions, but the ones who don't, They're the ones that we're addressing. Accountability is the
I'm gonna break
foundation
down.
of any relationship, whether
All right.
Remember when I did that video?
Mm-hmm.
Man, matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up, and the women have no code video.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm not talking about every woman. I'm talking about the ones that fit the behavior. So when
Right.
she said that, like that was instant, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. You know, like,
She coming with it.
yeah, she coming with it. Cause I want to run that video too to play after this at some point so we can compare the two.
Okay. Okay. I got you. I got you. I'll
Oh
go
yeah.
ahead and continue here.
Yeah,
it be
yeah.
romantic, platonic, professional, it doesn't matter. But a lot of women have traded accountability for victimhood. It's usually never her fault. It's always the guy who's wrong, society, her boss, or anyone else but herself. Women have to start taking accountability for their actions, mistakes, and choices. See, it's easier to play the victim than to own up to your own mistakes. It's easier to point the finger and blame the world than to look in the mirror and say, hey, I effed up. I can do better. That's real empowerment. But
Yep.
to be real, all of this is just a symptom of a society that's too quick to play the sexist card whenever a woman's actions are questioned. It's a byproduct of a culture that has bred a lack of personal responsibility. Society is a huge co-conspirator in all of this. Don't get me wrong. It's created a safety net that shields women from accountability. Any man who even slightly questions a woman's actions is quickly labeled as misogynistic. So, what does this do? It perpetuates a cycle of unaccountability. It's a systematic issue, it's an epidemic. To all the men listening, demand accountability from these women. How do you do it? So, when she does something that's out of line or out of pocket and does not take accountability for it, check it then. Don't wait, because the longer that you wait, the less accountability she will feel like that she needs to take.
Mm.
By you addressing it at the start, it lets her know that with you, accountability is not up for negotiation. See, the problem is that accountability is no longer a requirement for relationships. And when something is not a requirement, people will treat it like it's an option. To the women out there who like to duck and dodge accountability like the plague, it's time to step up, look at yourself in the mirror, and admit when you're wrong. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. But the difference between growth and stagnation lies in your ability to take accountability. So, with that being said, until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
And I'm talking about she is gorgeous.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
and
yes,
she is gorgeous, and
yes.
she came with it, man. She came with it, and you gotta love it, bro.
That's
Yeah, I don't want to say how am I up here twice?
yeah. Right here. It's like
Huh?
I'm about to take you off that one right there. Let me remove this one. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. It's like I
Look,
put
man.
the.
All that was is that we were cooking. That's all it is.
That's all it is. That's all
Yeah.
it is. Ain't no big deal.
You
Ain't no
know.
big deal.
So
Yeah.
that I think that I don't know if that was a. I think that was StreamYard. Definitely wasn't the internet. That was a
Yeah,
whole.
I don't know what the hell that was. I was like, damn, like
And this,
everything clocked
Yep,
out.
me neither. I was like, I know it ain't me because I did nothing wrong this time.
Right, right.
all right.
So we're gonna go ahead and share your next video here. Go ahead and bring up that other. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll go ahead and play this one and see what you're talking about on this jump right here.
Yeah. I was reluctant to do videos, you know what I'm saying, simply to get into the space of discussing relationships and things like that, you know, because there's a lot of people regurgitating the same talking points. And I am a solutions oriented person. With that said, I'm only speaking now because I think I've cracked the code on why women have no code. And for those that don't know what no code means, let me break it down. When I say women have no code, it's about honor, integrity, and things of that nature, right? Now, I don't want to offend anybody, but we're just talking about behavior because I don't know you personally. So if you get upset at what I'm saying, that's your problem, okay? Your triggers are your responsibility. Simply put, you don't have to go far to figure out what I'm saying. Look at every beef in your own family. I guarantee you, if you did some homework on it, you see that most of the beefs come directly from the women in your family. You don't see a bunch of uncles and nephews sitting around beating up on each other, usually smoking, joking, and you don't watch your sports. Women, however, on the other side of that conversation, the behavior of women, rather, they usually violate boundaries. They're very, like that usually comes in the tone of just being bossy and always provide unsolicited input when in spaces where they're not invited. They usually go to places where they can find conflict, and generally speaking, they become annoying. The behavior of them. If, again, this isn't your behavior, I'm not talking to you. Take men out of all of women's problems, and women still have major issues with each other. I saw a video the other day where one lady was trying to solicit somebody online for STDs so she can go infect somebody. That's crazy. I've never seen men, like do that in mass. Of course, you got some one-off situations like the rumor about Suge Knight giving Easy EAs with a syringe, but that's not a. Yeah.
All right, you wanted to pause it?
No. Keep going. I thought you had something to say. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
General practice. Those are like very isolated moments. Women that behave the way that I'm describing make this a very general practice. It's a safe assumption that, most women aren't trustworthy. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from other women. There's been plenty of women that say, I don't fuck with women for that very reason, because they feel like they can't trust them. It's a lot of unhealthy competition for no reason. Whereas like men live in the realm of logic. We can't accomplish anything without logic, understanding, and trust. So even at the lowest levels, dealing with like maybe street crime or something like that, men still have some sort of code about themselves. Women compete with each other for the worst men. Like there's 80% of kids that's being born out of wedlock right now, and they're having babies with 16% of men, black men specifically. So the numbers say that the majority of women are competing for the worst men to be pregnant by. That if that's never been brought up, that's the most unhealthiest competition that I can think of. The women that spend more time trying to correct their children before they correct their own behavior are codeless. Like, what makes somebody think that they can go correct the version of them that's the least experienced, most insecure, and the most vulnerable before correcting themselves? Doesn't make any sense. And now this is the part where I say I cracked the code, okay? The reason that they correct their own children before they correct themselves, they lack objectivity. They cannot see a situation without them being involved in it. That's why, like, you can talk and say, if I bring this up and you watch this reel, you're gonna be like, oh, that's not me. Well, we kind of understood it wasn't you, but we didn't know it wasn't you until you said that. How come you just can't listen and take it in and just be objective and look at your environment and see if you're reflecting your environment? They, in their inability to be objective, they make a lot of short-sighted assumptions and generalization, especially when they can benefit from it. You ever had a woman tell you, hey, you don't talk a lot and you need to communicate more, or things of that nature? Then you start explaining yourself. And I'm speaking, just in general, no matter if you're a man or a woman, this is a gender neutral thing. And before the end of the conversation, she says, well, I feel like this was directed at me.
Right.
Nobody give a fuck about your feelings right now if we're talking about mine. Mm-hmm. If you found yourself in a situation that I just described, you're probably dealing with somebody that has an inability to be objective. They can make any and everything about them. They exhibit a lot of narcissistic behavior. Now, I'm not saying that they are narcissists, because everybody has a narcissistic quality about them in some ways. But like, we don't want to get into clinical diagnosis here. We're just talking about behavior, nothing else. So like, if you pay attention to the way that they always have an ability to correct everybody else, but never with themselves. And they never do self improvement, or they champion these things, but the outcomes say otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like, who we supposed to listen to? Like, not having no code also a lack of credibility. They don't lead anything. Okay, like there are no women that men aspire to be like, but yet and still, women want us to compete with their version of reality, all while men afford them the opportunity to criticize us. Like, we can't switch places and be as efficient in some areas if women step into men's spaces. Like, the reality is that there's a lot of jobs that men do because they have to do them and because they pay well and they fit, what their skill set is, because men have to be realistic about their abilities. Men get told early on, you're not fast enough, you can't catch, you can't jump high enough, you're not tall enough, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that. You get boxed into what you are, based on what you can do. Now, there's always an exception. You're going to always wind up finding a guy that might be, like in basketball, he might be super big or whatever, right? But he got great ball handling skills, maybe able to dribble very well. Like, you get a Zion Wilson, it's a prime example of that. But, those are like exceptions. If you find yourself always superimposing your anecdotal experience as a rule, or as or just a rebuttal to negate somebody making a generalized statement, you ain't got no code, and you're getting offended, for no reason. Because if you don't exhibit the behavior, then why are you offended? Aren't you what you answer to? Again, this is not about all women. This is about all women that fit the behavior. Because regardless of where you fit at on the spectrum, the women that fit this behavior is who I'm talking about. So, like, you shouldn't really get offended. And if you do get offended, well, you just found out you don't have no code.
You muted. You muted. How many views did you get on that?
Oh man, let me see.
I didn't even know TikTok videos could run 8 minutes.
Yeah. Like what I did was I got a 13-minute video on TikTok right now.
Okay. So, I mean, you basically said the same thing that she said. You know what I'm saying? The only difference is that you're a male and she's a female. So the thing is that unless it comes out of a female's mouth, when we go to critique females, it's better to come out of a female's mouth because it's harder to negate. It's kind of like what we spoke of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say, Antoine?
That's the problem. That's the problem. Right? I said that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. It's that you can't speak on women, especially black women. You can't speak on them, right? So no change can ever come about because women will never call out other women. The sister code is way too strong for men to penetrate. Way too strong. Way too strong for them to penetrate. And that's the problem right there. But we're talking about unhealthy women, right? Because the women that have their shit together, whatever pay level they're at, especially the ones that make good money, they know how to submit. They know how, I don't like using that word. They know how to be a woman. They know how. They don't need a man to make them feminine. They know.
Yeah. Hey, his signal. He was struggle streaming for a second.
I think he was making some valid points too.
That's the thing. Every time we tried to make this thing cook, somebody did take it out. So, at least we already had some videos where people was saying what's up, to like the talking points.
Right. I mean, hey, but at the end of the day, he's right about that. It's really unfortunate, you know what I'm saying, that happens, and it's really unfortunate that men can't speak on women, and it doesn't matter what type of tone it is. It could be a soft tone, it could be an aggressive tone. regardless, it's still looked at as negative. Hey, you can't say that to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's like the woman, she actually explains, well,
Broke it
that's
down.
because this society has made a lot of women into narcissists. So they're self-centered. So the thing
Exactly.
is that
Exactly. And if Shira,
I'm perfect.
if Shira,
You're fucked up.
Yeah. Hey, Antoine, go ahead, because it's
they're all remember, you guys got to remember they're all tens. They're all tens, right? They're all tens.
Right.
No other ones. They're all tens, right?
That's a
They're all
symptom of a
10.
narcissistic society if everybody's a
Okay?
10.
And
If
if
everybody's a 10.
and I hope I don't butcher her name, Shahrazad Ali.
Yeah.
I hope I
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
If she's been saying it back in this, I think it was 78, 79 when I first started to hear about it. If she's been
Right.
saying it back then, right, and she got it back then, she would have been canceled. But if she was saying it back then, what makes you think in this modern day time when they're even more manly as shit, you're gonna reach them? Remember, they literally feel they're in competition with us, right? And I'm talking about the unhealthy ones. I'm not talking about the ones that know their worth, because the ones that know their worth, believe me, they don't have no problem in that area. You have no problem opening a door for them and getting respect out of a thank you. And they don't need me to put them in their femininity because they're already feminine. They don't need me to do anything.
Let me say right there. That's why I bring up there's a difference between the emotionally disciplined woman and emotionally undisciplined women. You know what I'm saying? The ones that we're describing right now, that you're talking about, the ones that's already feminine, they got their emotions in check, and they're not dealing with all that extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. But go ahead, you're cooking.
But as a woman, right? If I'm a woman and I want a man, a significant man, a man of worth. First of all, any woman in their right mind would go into a relationship wanting to build with a man, wanting to build him up. If he's happy making 47,000 and you build him up in other ways, because he's content. He was content before you and he'll be content after you. So that's not going to change, and that shouldn't change. But can he provide? That's the man's job. The man's job is to make sure he can do what he does with the money he makes and he's content with. I'm not saying men have to do better, but men should be able to provide for what they want out of the woman, rather what level you're at, because a woman knows what she's coming in at, right? Because a woman can make 80 grand and a man can make 40 grand. At the end of the day, she's still a woman, and he knows that. So she can't come and demand nothing if he's a secure man in his ways, because he's going to put her in check. He's going to put her in check, right? So a woman should know that. Now, if a woman gets with a man that she dominates, then she can't base all men. That's what you're attracting based on who you are, because the real men that
attraction is a personal responsibility.
The real men that make 47,000 really don't care what you make. And if you think you can dominate a man that's secure in himself, you can't. There's nothing you can tell a man that's got his shit together and bring anything new to him besides pussy, because he's seen it, been there, did that, done it. And if he has his kids already, he's even more secure in his ways, more planted in, because he don't need you for nothing else but companionship. And he's got a great dog in the backyard. So you really got to know where you're coming in and at what level you're coming in at. All these unhealthy women that you have to describe this and you have to do all. Why would any man want to subject himself to that? Like why? That's why I'm kind of like in the middle of this for what she said, because she's talking about unhealthy women. And I personally can't relate to unhealthy women. They're good for two things. And cook the first. They're good for sex, right? They're good for sex, and that's it. They're good for a nice pump and dump, a good evening. They're good to waste a good dinner on, but as long as you're getting laid by it, you good. That's where you fit in. I never call them again, because that's where they fit in. That's where they fit in, because you cannot change their mind, how they think of men. You can't. And that's the ones she's talking about. And it's sad. You know, I hate going into the dating, because I'm in the dating field right now. And I hate going into it with these preconceived ideas and notions and all this shit. Okay, let me see what comes out of her mouth, because her looks got me over there. Her looks got me there. Okay, let me see what comes out of her mouth. Right away, if I'm securing myself, I know if she's wife material and where she fits in and what box she falls into. And it's sad. It really is sad, because a woman can't compete with a man. She can't. No, because there's two different roles. I can't even compete with a woman. Nor would I want to. I don't want her role. I love cooking, but I let her lead that area, and all the other areas that she does. You know, if a woman's great at real estate, I'm shutting up.
Right, Antoine. I mean, out of all the women that you date, because you're the only one single right here. Out of all the women that you date, give me a percentage of how many women are wife material and how many women are pump and dump material.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna say it this way: my pump and dump days are over, right? Because now I'm looking for quality, so I got to put it out there that that's what I want. That's the quality I want, right?
Okay.
Because you can always get a fat one; they're always right there, willing and able. Move that to the side. I would say the percentage of good women that I meet, I would say they fit into and the ones between the friends and the ones that have wife material. I would say it's about a 60-40, meaning 60% are good. But today, the problem that we're having, I find in the people and the good women that I meet, most of them are not sure if they want kids. Most of them are not sure if they want kids because they got a great career. They got a great, and not because they have kids already, because they have a great career.
And that depends on your age bracket too.
They got a great career.
Like the women that you're gonna be interested
in. Like I'm only dating 32 and up. I'm only dating 32 and up. I might think 30, but 32, 33 in that area and up. They have anything below that is just dinners, going out once in a while. They really don't have anything after the sex is over, and that's what I find. Because most women experiment up until they're 32. Now they're closer to that geriatric shit, so they take life a little bit. And this is my experience, I find more serious in that age bracket, right? Mm-hmm. 40, it's got to be looks, I'm attracted, and I want kids. If I meet a girl that's 40, that doesn't come out of her mouth. And my friends as well. If we don't hear, I'm looking for a serious relationship, marriage-minded, I want kids, and I want to be in a home, that's at 40. If you're not staying that at 40, there's no need for me to be with you because you're already past geriatric, and we got to figure out how you won't get pregnant. That's a fact right there.
Okay. I got you. Hey.
I'm glad I ain't got to do that.
You're lucky. Oh, bro, it's brutal out there. Let me tell you something. It's $150 a week. Easily. Not even trying. Ooh. Easily out of your pocket.
Ooh.
Easily. Yeah. Not even trying. And I can tell you how. You're paying $12 a drink. You're there for about 4 drinks. You're going to have dinner with your buddies. You're looking at maybe $70 a pop. And after that, you're going to have coffee. And you're going to put gas in your car. You're looking at $150. I don't know what else is doing. But that's a basic Saturday night.
So you're saying $150 for $150 for a date, pretty much. That's what you're saying?
Night out with the boys. Yeah. Easily, not even trying. If you're going to a reputable place. Now, if you go to those low clubs that have $8 a beer, $6 a beer, you better watch out where you park your car. And that's a fact, right? But if you go to prestigious places where good quality women hang out, a little bit of valeting happening, you're looking at $12 to $15 a drink. Okay,
so that may explain. Yeah. So that may explain, why a lot of men have checked out as far as dating. Like a lot of men have checked out when it comes to dating, like for real. Like it's at a crazy number.
Yeah, Cavi, no joke. You take a girl out today. Your car is going to cost you $20 in gas. Okay, and I'm not being cheap. You have to fill it up, right? You're going to look at $20 in gas. A movie costs $15 to $18. A drink in the movie costs $7. You're already crossing into the 30s. Now, wait a minute. You go to Starbucks. It's $5 a coffee. You order 2 of them. That's $10 right there. I'm breaking it down simple. Let's just say you go Denny's. Denny's is like $16 a plate. I don't know if you have Denny's out there, but that's like a breakfast kind of 24-hour breakfast.
Yeah, I know you're being real. So, familiar with Denny's.
People being really raw. And then you get to drinks. Okay, you're with 4 guys. He buys around, boom, $70. You buy around, boom, $70. And you go around twice like that. I mean, you're getting Coke for free. So I don't know what people are talking about. Now, if I take a girl out, if I take a girl out,
go back to our shared screen where we have the videos up. Okay, now you see this, fellas? Do you see the number one reason why men don't want to date?
Financial costs.
There you go. What I tell you? What did I
Do
tell
y'all
you?
see it?
It don't make any
Yup.
economic sense.
Yep.
Antoine said it.
Yep.
Antoine said it. He said the financial cost. You know what I'm saying? So basically, with the, basically that is in a nutshell, basically what it is. I'm sitting here like, wow. So financial cost is really the biggest
Yeah.
issue. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
It's the
crazy.
biggest issue.
It says
It's
data indicates that while the majority of men, 74%, and women, 83%, say that both partners contribute to dating costs after 6 months, most men, 84%, and women, 58%, acknowledge that men still cover more of the expenses.
Yeah.
So
Well, listen,
Antoine,
you can look up. You can look up on TikTok. I should have sent Vic this email. I mean this skit, not skit. Sorry, this thing this woman was talking about. That she don't even accept coffee dates now. She wants a full blown dinner, and I'm gonna go like we take you out on coffee dates to see if you're even worth dinner. See if we even like you. Could sit across the table for you with 2 hours. If you don't pretty enough for me to look at, I ain't gonna feel like eating. So you got to think that's the whole. Women need to understand that's the whole coffee thing, because we're going to interview you for a dinner technically.
So
girls ain't paying. What are they paying for? You know?
So I wanna bring it back, because what you're talking about is what's out here now by virtue of the fact that there's a big gap in what men understand as accountability and what women accept as accountability.
right.
I want to make sure that we stay within those parameters, because
Right.
these are the residual impacts about all that entitlement, all of that that unwillingness to be corrected, can't be checked, can't balance things out. Like everything is an interrogation or a negotiation to the point where you can't even say no. Like men are not in a position to say no to women
Right.
without
We're
a
not.
lot of shame, insult, guilt, and all that other stuff. But I think that it still separates the field from men that have charisma and men that don't, because all of these residual effects that we're just talking about is also scaring young men from dating. And so, like the way that the umbrella is set up between like the mothers and the daughters that are being raised in single mother structures or whatever, right? That's the matriarchal side of everything that I'm talking about. There's a split, and it's significant enough to say that it's got its own bubble, What is like 54% of homes are led by single mothers, and I argue that that's the matriarchal side of our society, and then there's the patriarchal side that's raised with fathers in the house, and it produces certain types of women and men that have conflict in getting to know each other. They can relate, but they can't commit. You see what I'm saying? They can relate for transactional engagements, but once the transaction satisfied, there's nothing there that they're going to value to say, I want to stay with this person a little bit longer or something like that. And then now we're at this transactional point in our society where you got a lot of people that's doing the same thing, and so is there a solution to it? Where's the breaking point?
Yes,
what is it?
Yes,
what's the solution?
I'll tell you the solution. Women. Okay, this is my solution, right? Being a single man up here, right? I'm looking for marriage, and as you guys know, I'd love to have a kid. Okay, but I've had to alter my things. Vic knows how I've had to alter my criteria now. But the solution is this: men shouldn't, and this is in the women's defense. Men shouldn't go out with women if they can't date, and men should recognize the finer she is, you better have a good pocket. Period. And I don't blame her. She can be working at a bank, but if she looks banging and she looks good on your arm, you better be able to afford it. And when I say afford it, be able to express that you can afford a dinner, because it's going to take you 3 to 4 dinners. You can't afford to date that woman, right? And you have to court her. But women need to understand this is social media. You may not look like the picture you may not look like the picture on the app, and I need to see if that's really you, because I don't want to go there. Your face is good from the shots up, and then you look like a bowling pin on the bottom, right? Because now I know that I got my shit together and I'm a real guy, right? So now here I am. I know for a fact, okay, I'm taking out to coffee because I want to make sure the pictures match the profile, unless I'm being set up with a friend, right? That's what men need to understand. Men need to speak better to women. Excuse me. Need to speak better to women. They need to speak better. We don't talk good about women anymore because we've adapted this social media, discriminating them and going in on them and talking about their hair, talking about their nail, and all this shit, right? But we don't. But women are thinking, Jesus, Christmas. There's no pleasing you guys, right? So they have that wall up right there, and women put that whole,
right there though.
Right.
There's a demographic of men that don't believe that they can please women either. And it's widely accepted that women are never satisfied. So, like,
but that's been done at the time, though.
But what I'm saying is that it's widely accepted that women are never satisfied. I'm not wrong in saying that, because like we said earlier, you can't tell them no. I'm not saying like you can't tell them no, but there's something that comes with telling a woman no. Versus when a man hears no. Men face rejection far more than women do. Nobody's been told no more than men in general. So we get a period of abstinence in the first part of our life. That first 25 years, we spend that getting rejected. You know what I'm saying? By the women that we actually want. And then they spend the last 25 years of their life in abstinence because they can't attract the man that they think that they deserve, And that's what we are right now. And then those women that's trying to attract the man that they think that they're deserving of, they also have daughters that's in the same dating field. So when you're looking for a 40-year-old woman, she might have a daughter that's half her age that's also attractive, So when you have that type of
I might hit on her too.
Yeah, you might hit on her
too. I might hit on her too. I might say, listen, if things don't work out with your mother, just remember, you got my number, right? We good. Because I don't have to see your mother. Let's be real.
Everybody that's watching, make sure you call 1-800-555-Antoine. If you want to figure out how to set yourself up to be cast away very quickly or either picked up very quickly, Antoine is your man,
No, because men ain't playing today. We're not, especially the ones that got their stuff together. We're not playing anymore. We don't care about, and women but like I said, this woman was speaking on unhealthy women. The women that got their stuff together understand where I'm coming from. Understand that a coffee date is very important because you are on an interview. He's not going to take you around the company unless you pass the interview. It's just the way it is today.
This and there's a lot of other details and conflicts that amount to this, because all of this dating competition that some people like to get focused on and go down the rabbit hole on, they're just looking at the surface level, competition with it. They're not really looking at what caused this. Where did this shift come from? And what type of mentalities, or how was this mentality cultivated? Because used to be like, it's always had some transactional value for safety to get under the protection of another man, right? And it's always had a sense of physical connection for a man to be with a woman that he could trust, and have, intimate sex with, or somebody that he can be predictable with, right? And then somewhere in there, all of this stuff got jumbled up because there was a lack of emotional discipline and people got at each other, and then they don't trust each other. And now they try to replace the solutions with another body instead of working through conflicts and stuff like that and just saying, hey, man, I told you no. And I don't want to participate with that. And then you hear women say, what do they say? Go get another one. You don't need him. And then you see some men that say, I don't need her. I go get another one. Everybody's talking about that they can replace each other. and now they just around here bumping into each other instead of just working through it. You know,
that's not. Yeah, that's what It's so funny that that's not. In a sense, that's not even true. You can't replace a good woman. You can't. It's not that easy today. My gosh, man. Like I said, your woman doesn't need to tell you. You don't need to. Your woman doesn't need to hear you say she's beautiful. You know that, right? Because she can go on social media, post about one pic, and 1,000 men will tell her she's beautiful. Then she'll look at you and go, "You may not think so, but these 1,000 men do and believe it." So she don't really need you like that.
The unhealthy women think
right.
I understand what you're saying on that, Antoine.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I captured that because
it's unhealthy women.
Unhealthy women focus on the shallow stuff all the time.
Right.
And so
you can I always say you can always tell when a woman's struggling in her relationship or her marriage when she starts doing a whole bunch of selfie shit, like full body selfie shit.
Yeah.
Because she wants response and she wants to show her man, hey, let me let you know, bro. It's motherfuckers out here that will take me from you.
And the only ones that they'll get.
Of course, you know what I'm saying? The Rockets, you know what I'm saying? That's the only ones that gonna get the ones that gonna tap them ass cheeks and leave her alone. Put them cheeks in the air.
But Cabby, you know what's cringeworthy today as a man that's in the dating field? When you see a 30-year-old posting the old 3/4 ass shot with the tongue sticking out peace sign, right?
Yeah.
It's so cringeworthy. It's so cringeworthy to see these 30-year-olds do that shit for views, likes, and comments. Because it's like, obviously you don't have a man, and it's like you need that little self-approval, that little thing to say, I still got it. And meanwhile, they're not thinking, to be tapped, but that's about it. We ain't bringing you home to meet mama.
That's it.
And you're destroying yourself. The more pictures you put out like that, the more you're serving a purpose in this area, not the quality area, this area. And it's sad, and you're like, God damn.
I have a boy here where I live, and that's a big issue, in the dating field for him is he will want to date a woman or take her out on a date. He'll go to the, Facebooks or social media platforms, and he will see like these insane pictures like you're talking about, like the 3/4 ass shot, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, with the peace sign, with the duck mouth, you know what I'm saying? Or a revealing picture of her titties, something like that, and he'll be like, God damn, like you showing the world everything. Like, so are you going to stop that if I start dating you, or are you going to continue doing that if I start dating you? Because you kind of got to ask those questions, because some women just like to entertain. They just like the attention. They just like the attention, and they're never going to let that go. It don't matter how good of a man they get. They just like to entertain. They like the attention. They like the attention from dudes that don't give them anything in life. You know what I'm saying? And that's that accountability that we talk about. They're not being held accountable. Hey, somebody should be calling her out. Like, man, what are you doing? Like, you're 35 years old. We understand that you're pretty and you got a big old fat ass on you, but you don't have to show that to everybody. like it's okay for them just to see your face.
I tell girls
the behavior that they display, the behavior that they display does not match up with the type of guy they're trying to attract. No. That's all it is.
No.
Like the behavior that you're displaying is going to attract men that reflect that behavior. That's why you keep taking L's. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just like if you a dude and you want to flash money and do all types of, you know what I'm saying, rocket behavior, as I like to call it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to be that rocket.
Yeah. Well, if you out here acting like Rocket, you can't be shocked if all you get is.
But I tell you one thing, Vic. I've adapted my friends. This is a good one, and he brought this on to me. He goes, when he goes out on a date with a girl, and they're having that good coffee, he always says, "Let me see your Instagram," because he wants to see what she posts.
Mm-hmm.
Right then and there. Not that she goes in the delete. He goes, "Can I see your Instagram?" And she'll go, "Why?" She goes, "I want to see what kind of pictures you post, because I'm looking, for this type of woman. I want to make sure you're serious about it." And and the ones that don't show him the phone is the ones that he goes, right there, it's questionable. Yeah. Right there. Well, that's a good one. I'm keeping that.
Well, yeah, Instagram for women is a resume. You know what I'm saying? Because like people call it IG. I call it instant gratification. You know, it's a vain tool
Yeah.
for emotionally undisciplined women. It is a very vain tool. You know, each platform has something that comes with it. You know, where it attracts a certain demographic, and most women that are between, you know, like whatever age. I think it has the largest swath of women in that dating age
Hmm.
that use it for self gratification. There's been plenty of people that talk about body dysmorphia, and they attribute the causes of body dysmorphia from women being self absorbed on Instagram and everything else. But I don't want to really make it about that. I want to go to the next video that we got in the chat, and want to make all of this stuff tie in together, because what we're talking about here is like we talking about symptoms. This is symptoms
Right.
of a larger problem. So let's go hit to the video.
All right. So I got one right here. Let me go ahead and bring it up here. We came down, so we got to come back up.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
All right. There we go. All right. You got it up.
Yes, sir.
This the one you want?
Yep.
All right.
Did your daddy pass away? Did
But
your daddy pass away?
that was not. I don't
Did
even
he-
have my birth certificate. So you took my birth certificate.
Did he ever pay child support? And what you mean birth certificate? Didn't I have
What does
you?
that got to do with me? He left me money, not you.
Okay, but
Not you.
He never took care of you, so that was his payback from me. That was my payback. That he's never gave me child support to take care of you or your
That has
brothers.
nothing to do with me.
What you mean it doesn't?
I don't know why you think you can just take my money. It's not your money. It's not yours at all.
It is my money. I had you.
It's in my name.
Okay,
That's
I
stealing.
gave you your name.
That's stealing. You took my birth certificate and claimed insurance money, my inheritance. That's stealing.
I had you with your father that passed away that didn't give me a single dime. Not one.
How would you do that?
What you mean? Why
That's
would I
crazy.
do that?
That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. Yeah. That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, like when you like at the seat of all of this narcissism that women claim that they experience with men,
Right.
they experience it first with their own mothers. That's an example. Okay, go to that other video,
All right. Hold on.
because that's the mother and the daughter right there.
Right. You talk
I
about
got
this
something to
one
say
right
on that one, boy.
Yeah, you want to after we show the next video, we'll I'm gonna let you run
All right, go ahead, put it
Okay.
up.
It would have been a whole lot of chicken frying, flower bringing, song singing, donations asked, sobbing and praying going on in that place. There's no way that my children would have ever been able to walk out of that house properly. They would have been carried out, trying to ever put their hands on my mother. Me and my siblings would have tore any child up that would have tried to put their hands on our mother. I can't speak for nobody else's children, but I am speaking for mine. I'm so glad that my children are not disrespectful like this. But I will say this. If any of my children or nieces and nephews would have ever tried to lay a hand on my mother, it would have been a whole lot of chicken frying, flower bringing, song singing,
You know,
donation.
I don't.
I
I
mean,
don't need to see that.
yeah, hey,
Fuck.
there's a lot, right? When I saw the right hand
This is where Tyler
go
Perry
upside
stuff
grandma's
comes-
head, right. This is where he get that shit from.
This is where
This is
Tyler
where
Perry
he get that
stuff come
shit from. Right. So when you look at that and you see what looked like a granddaughter, because the woman is talking about, if those were my kids, we'd have some significant problems. You know what I'm saying? We going after this little motherfucker for doing that. So you got a
I'm going to
granddaughter,
jail. I'm going to jail.
bro. Hell yeah. Like I said, you got a granddaughter going after a grandmother. I gotta ask myself, and I know it's the wrong question, or the right question, I gotta ask myself, what the fuck did she do to this little girl? Like, you gotta ask yourself that question. Like, what
Because,
did
like,
you do for your
hey,
granddaughter to take her right hand
before that,
and
put a finger in my face. You do that?
bitch?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could unsee that. I wish I could unsee that.
Wow.
No. This
I
is.
wish I could unsee that.
Wow.
You cannot blame other races when they see us that they think of us like that. You cannot blame them, bro. We deserve every fucking thing we get with shit like that out there. And you filmed it and posted it. You thought it was good to post.
Nobody
you
stopped
your views and your like. Nobody
Family business.
here.
What I wanted, what I
tell
wanted
you,
after
man.
the whole situation, I wanted the audio to why that happened. I needed to hear the first part. So what I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna try to figure out. I'm gonna try to find this video without that woman talking over it. I want to see what was said or what was being accused.
What was the trigger?
Right. Because like okay, so Vic, we talked about women going through a whole lot in their youth and things being swept under the rug, right? And so was that one of those cases? You know what I'm saying? Hey, Uncle Ronnie, your son molested me back in the day. I told you, and you didn't handle the fucking situation right. You kept that bastard around. So if that was the case, then grandma deserved all that because she never handled the situation. She swept it up under the rug. So all we're looking at is a younger woman and a grandma fighting, and we have this person talking over it, but we really don't know the context. We really don't know the story behind why that happened. And people will say, well, you should never disrespect your elders like that. Shit. The hell with that.
Even Simone Biles is dealing with the
you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I commented on that. Did you read my comment?
Yeah, I saw that about forgiving and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's your mom.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also understand that women don't like women. So our idea of how they should handle themselves doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and even then, she's expecting her daughter to reach out, but you're the parent. The parent's supposed to always keep parenting, you know. And then some people may feel otherwise. But if you inflicted but look, people say honor thy mother, thy father, right? But the Bible, the same Bible also says, do not provoke your children to anger.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the other side of it. So it's you can't have one without the other, just like you described the grandmother, you know what I'm saying, in the potential situation that could have triggered, you know, that type of conflict with each other to a fist fight. There's a boundary that was set somewhere, you know what I'm saying, that they was okay with until somebody violated the boundary.
Yeah.
But these types of situations are at the seat of why mothers and daughters are in such of a conflict. And then it changes the perception of the men that they pursue, their relationship compatibility, the trauma that most men have already accounted for that most women come with, you know, in that regard too. So it's not that men aren't being considerate or anything like that. We just said that most women have a story that's like this right here. And what are women going to do? Have the conversation as a collective to solve this problem, you know? And I think that's fair to ask.
But okay, but Vic, to be fair, okay. Obviously, I guess that means she was raised by her father, right?
Right.
And as men, we resolve issues. A grandfather. So as men, we resolve issues. I hate the way that man or the grandfather, I hate the way he handled it, because I would say to Simone, listen, yeah, you have more than enough, right? At the end of the day, it was substance abuse. At the end of the day, she wasn't in the right mind. She wasn't in the right mind, and she did the best thing by letting you go. Because look what you became if you were with a crackhead. And she thought about this. She had enough sense to at least say, she can't be with me because I'm on substance abuse. So I'm saying, as a man, you would tell Simone this, and you would say, listen, she did the right thing because look what you became, and you have more than enough. So get your ass corrected. Don't make it look bad in the public eye. At the end of the day, she's your mom. You have more than enough. Just make sure she can eat and there's a roof over her head. That ain't asking for much. Okay, well, because I'm the man. I'm going to tell you, she was on substance abuse. It's not like she was living it up and she went with another man and she tossed it to... She was on substance abuse. And the mother said that. What more of an excuse you need to take care of your mother if she did the right thing by letting go? She did the right thing. She didn't do anything wrong. Right. The only thing she did wrong was get pregnant while she was on crack. But we have the baby mamas out there. So let's move that aside. Let's work with what we got now. I'm a grown Olympic athlete. I did good. This woman gave me it away so I can have a good life. That's all that matters. Would you rather her keep you and you had a life like that, or are you doing better now because she gave you away?
I don't think that there's a problem with that from the surface of it. Right. What I think is the delivery of it lacks the accountability that she's probably looking for. It's like you taking interviews, and then now we're talking about this because you decided to take an interview and look like the victim.
Right.
It's looking like you got to imagine that she probably hadn't even had a point of accountability that Simone could accept. Because I'm pretty sure that if she's framed it the right way and without blaming other people, because think about it, we know how people act in that situation. If you ever met anyone or seen the way they behave when they on drugs, they're not the same person. So what Antoine is saying is spot on in that regard. But the healing work that you have to do in order to earn the forgiveness of the people it's a lot of work, and you can't make someone accept you when they gave you away. It just like she was on substance abuse, she's entitled to deal with that trauma the way that she feels comfortable dealing with it, and when she's ready to deal with it, and especially without all the extra stuff. If you really mean it, stop going in the public. Don't keep giving people windows into, that personal business, because
into my life, right? Yeah,
my
hell
life.
no,
That's
not
what
cool.
I'm talking about. You imagine if LeBron James' dad just popped up right now?
Right.
Can you imagine if Shaquille O'Neal's biological father just popped up right now? Like to take credit for everything that they worked for. I get it, but just like they say, honor thy mother, thy father. Do not provoke your children to anger either. You got to have both sides of it, which means the parent ultimately in that situation, if they want to be honored, they have to not provoke their children. Mm-hmm. So you can't have it both ways.
I just don't see it. I just see it as a responsible.
Yeah. And I also understand this too. Nobody talks about the trauma that parents experience as they raise their kids. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that even though I don't have children, I've had experience in raising kids, and I've also had experience from clients that book me for consultations that tell me about how to deal with the kids getting older, not being connected with them as much, you know what I'm saying? And they like, hey, I gave my whole life to this, and now my kids trying to, go off on their own and not be connected with me. So the reason I brought up the mothers and daughters thing, because mothers try to hang on to their daughters, man. Mm-hmm. And they don't let them go explore anything. Women trauma bond with each other for this reason right here. They don't help each other solve problems. They trauma bond with each other. They're more likely to trauma bond when you're unhealthy, because you're going to attract somebody else that's got problems. Until you're able to isolate yourself, deal with your, your own emotions, and detach and not connect to somebody else that just makes you feel good in the meantime, you're never gonna solve your problem. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You're never gonna experience that level of isolation. So, and when you think about it, those mothers that's trauma bonded with their daughters like that, they never let go of the stuff that they, you know what I'm saying, that they experienced or heal from it. So it's just this cycle of, unhealthy,
Trauma.
just a cycle of trauma. But like we got to break it
Right.
down. And then that's where that opening video explains the way women behave. You know what I'm saying? And how they can blame society, which is so crazy. Check this out. Women blame society for the condition of women, but who has the most influence in society?
I mean, at the end of the day, like,
So
yeah.
women have reprogrammed society, and then they blame society. No, it's you. It's you. You can't blame society if you say girls run the world. You can't blame society if you say women are 54%, you know what I'm saying, leading single mother homes. You can't blame society when everything in society is catered to you. You got the most education. Hold up. You got the most, hold up. Hold up, let me finish. You got the most education. You person, all of the things that's touted, you know what I'm saying, that says they don't need a man, right? All of this is the symptom, like the words that we're saying are the symptoms that become social media talking points and created all of this narcissistic conversation. But you can't blame society when you have the most influence in society. That's all that I wanted to say. You're not a victim.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but Vic, I get what you're saying. But men have to break a few eggs, and they shouldn't have let that happen. Men were not willing to break a few eggs and put women in check. We let them get that kind of power. If we're leaders, that shit wouldn't happen. If we're leaders, that shit wouldn't happen. Men have to take some accountability because we let that shit happen. Because in my house, this is how it's gonna run. Period. Right. Now, if you're in society and you see women you're in government and you see the feminists getting powerful and start, why are you bowing down? You got to break a few eggs and go, I think you're getting who's wearing the pants and who's wearing the skirt, because that's never going to change. Now, if you need a little bit of assistance, you're looking to get ahead, you need to name one right that I have that you don't have. You need to break a few eggs. And men let that shit happen in the dating world. I blame the men for the dating world, because you guys knocked up them damn bitches and made it hard to find a fresh one. You did. You made it so hard for me to find a fresh one. You left your seed everywhere. And now I got to deal with that shit. Now I got to deal with what you damaged. You know what I mean? Now I got to deal with it. How good men got to deal with it.
Okay, that's accountable masculinity, man. That's accountable masculinity. Show him the book real quick, Vic.
It's talking about rule number 5. Right? You know,
rule number 5.
Virtual discipline. You know what I'm saying? And it's like saying this. It's like saying this, Vic. You got her in your prime, and I'm dealing with the damages in her after that. You got her in your prime. You damaged her in your 20s. Now I'm dealing with it in his 30s, and I'm like, God damn you, men. Keep it. I mean, it's just I blame the men, because again, the men are the ones that if you're a leader, you would not let that shit happen. You would be able to think with your other head for a change. That's all I'm saying. Like, men have to take some accountability for what's out there now, because they did not do it by themselves. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying. I don't care if I sound like a simpleton.
No, I agree with you.
I don't care if I sound like a simpleton, but we got to take some accountability that we let them know it's okay because we wanted to tap it, and that's wrong.
I understand what you're saying, Antoine. You're just talking about men taking ownership of the situation, and when you take ownership of the situation,
for creating it.
You can't be a victim. You can't say there's nothing out there. You just move in a direction based on what you can attract. And if you can't get what you want, you need to change what, you know what I'm saying, your level of attraction, you know?
Right.
I get that part as far as the dating piece is concerned. But we're talking about this unhealthy competition and where it comes from, and how, like, the same way like men are having this conversation on this platform and talking about what we see from different angles, right? What ownership we need to take, and what's our problem and what's not. The things that we can fix and the things we can't fix, right? You've seen 2 videos. I said the same things that lady was saying, you know, in my own way and with my own delivery, right? But they're still in the same wheelhouse. And even then, the women still don't want to listen to other women. They still don't want to listen to men. So they are above correction because generally speaking, they are the women that are unhealthy believe men are beneath them. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to accept correction from nobody in general because they're not even accepting it from each other. Now, that's the symptom to me of a narcissistic society that has been reprogrammed by feminism. And then I think that there's a level of radicalism that's taking place because we've seen it happen in the red pill community. You know what I'm saying? Where you got these guys that are incels. They also have fem cells. Have you ever heard of that? That's weird.
Yeah.
But that's what we are right now. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that if it's going to correct itself, what is it going to look like? What is it going to like without men involved? Can women correct themselves?
Right.
No, they can't. Women cannot correct themselves. They can't even call out themselves.
Yep. And that right there says that's where we have a huge divide demographically. There is a matriarchal society where our input doesn't matter. So I think men have to withdraw from being in debates and arguments with women that are just there to be combative with you. You know what I'm saying? Too many men are focusing their attention on the women that they don't like anyway, the women that they don't want to attract, and they're only attracting conflict. Most of those men would care more about arguing with women because they're too afraid to invest in themselves to attract a woman that actually fits the mold that they think they qualify for. Because most people just don't want to accept what they qualify for.
Right.
That's what.
But Vic, again, and you're gonna have to agree with me on this. Again, men are horny. And they're gonna tell women what they want to hear because they're horny. They're gonna go out there. Man is not meant to be alone. We're meant to procreate. So we're gonna be horny, and we're gonna justify what these women are doing because we want sex. We're gonna tell them what they want to hear because we want sex. Men have to sustain from that. As hard as it is, we have to sustain from that because we keep recreating it. I cannot blame a woman that got dissed by a man and raised her daughter alone and plant that shit in her head for her to be protected from the next man. She has no correction in between there. You can't blame the woman. She has no correction in between there. So I'm paying for what that man did before. I'm paying for what that man did before. And so on, and so on, and so on. And now you want what? Men to correct women? They're too tarnished to correct women. That's like trying to fix the black community. Ain't happening. You know what? It used to be nice that it was all the same color. Now it's a blended race because you're not getting what you want within your race. You're not. That's why the passport bros are there. That's why we're looking elsewhere. That's why look at what social media now is putting down black. Look at social media, how much we're putting down black women and comparing them to Latinas. And it's like a fight. Like, guys, look what's out there and look what we get. Not every black woman is 300 pounds. And not every Latina looks that fine. I seen some big whales too.
Them gorditas.
But we want to compare them. Right? I mean, you know we eat similar food, right? The only thing the Latin race does better than us is they don't post the shit as much as we do. We post our shit. They don't. They protect. We post that shit.
I'm gonna say they don't, but they not in my algorithm like that. So
exactly because there's nothing there. They're not in mine, but there's nothing there to look at, Vic. It's only there when we post it. It's only there when we post it. There's nothing there. Yep. Who posts the passport bros? Not the Latinas in Cuba and all those places. Not the ones here in America. We're the ones posting that shit to say what's out there. Look at what's out there. Look what you can get. I mean, let's take some accountability, bro. We're creating what's in there, what's out there, man.
I would definitely say that.
Yeah, and I'd be clear that I'm a simp for saying that. Yeah.
No. This is the thing right here. Like Antoine, the behavior that you're describing is what we're talking about. It ain't even your standard or anything like that. I don't know a reasonable man that would disagree with that in its principle, because you're talking about the principle of how we got here at the source of it. The solution is, in terms of like how we should look at it, is that we have to put the undisciplined men on the side that's perpetuating the madness that you have to deal with on this side of it, you know. So that's how dangerous the undisciplined man is. The sexually undisciplined man is a very, very dangerous demographic of men that doesn't require a large population to alter, you know what I'm saying, the feminine side of things. And now you got these overprotective women. They are controlling with their daughters because they're parenting from trauma that they haven't, you know what I'm saying, resolved. It's coming inside their families. It's in some cases inside their home, and it's coming from outside their homes, you know what I'm saying, as well. They're getting, because you got a bunch of horny, unregulated, sexually undisciplined men that's willing to do whatever to get whatever out of them.
To whoever.
And then because we haven't spoke up to say, hey, look, all men ain't over sexualized like that. You know, we yeah, all of us have been horny. All of us have it in us. You know what I'm saying? But the people that have gotten more mature and arrested their nature, you can just tell that certain men don't make the same decisions as other men. You know what I'm saying? They don't see the benefit of being promiscuous without any type of boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Because like it's unhealthy. Because if you focus on whatever you focus on 80% of the time, you're gonna have outcomes that reflect that 80% of the time. You know, so
yeah,
and that comes out through whatever you create. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is creation, us getting together and, you know, putting our thoughts in this conversation. And this is the, you know what I'm saying, the place for our focus. So 80% of the time we're talking about this, we're working on this, and we're trying to frame this conversation in a way where even though it says mothers versus daughters, accountable masculinity is about taking ownership of what men are supposed to be doing to rectify this and in our own little pocket. I mean, nobody's saying go fix women. We're not saying we're going to go fix you.
Right.
We're just saying, hey, there's some men that know how you got there. And this is what the residual impact is if you don't fix it, you know. And either you got community-minded men, and then you got individualistic men, you know what I'm saying? And if you care about community, you move a lot different. Let me see what you're pulling up over here.
I think I got the right one. No,
okay,
not that one. Not that one. Let me go to this one instead. All right. So this right here is something that is definitely insane. You know, sexual assault disproportionately affects women. People of all ages, genders, races, and ethnicities are affected by sexual assault, and sexual violence is unfortunately common among both women and men. Over half of women and nearly 1/3 of men report experiencing sexual violence. CDC. This is the CDC reported that. So we're talking about 53%. Over half the women. We have to look at that, bro. We really have to
take that into consideration.
Take that into consideration and what the hell we're seeing out here. And this is the reason why we want to crush this red pill shit, because you're talking a lot of shit about women. At the end of the day, you are, but you're not looking at stats like this. You're not looking at stats.
You're not looking at the causes. You're just looking at the symptoms. You're looking at the symptoms. They're arguing with the symptoms,
right?
And we're trying to, and it distorts the conversation where we can have a conversation about how did we get here? What's the source of all of the conflict over there? You know, because most men have experience being with a woman that they couldn't communicate with or emotionally connect with because of maybe his trauma and her trauma, you know, or an acceptance of it, right? But we also have to be mindful that what women experience affects them a lot differently emotionally than it does men. You know, I think that's fair to say. I don't think I'm out of bounds by saying that. I don't want to offend nobody, and I'm not trying to minimize, you know what I'm saying, like anybody's reaction to trauma or whatever. But like, as a man, if you want a woman, you have to understand that most likely she's going to come with some SA events in her background, and then don't even start talking about abortion, and then and also taking this to account, she may have had some issues with SA before she was even 10,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then and then taking that into school with other girls that's probably had the same thing. So that's why they fight. That's why they
But Vic,
conflict with each other.
then the men come along. Like I said, the men come along, push that to the side, and want to tap it, and that's when we become undisciplined because we don't care. We're just looking to get our rocks off.
Go get the book,
and then it just perpetuates the whole thing all over again.
This is
today
why
I can't blame these women for being so careful. I can't.
and this
I
is
can't be mad at them.
I can't be mad at them. And that's why I said before, this is why sexual discipline is a bigger issue than racism and obesity. Because if you're not even safe in your own home, within your own family, or free from the idea that, you know what I'm saying, you could be violated, sexually in some kind of way, then you're not focused on anything else but survival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but again, Vic, man, I blame the woman in that area because you know what? You're the one that brought that new man into your home. You're the one that brought that new man into your home. You're the one that didn't believe your daughter when her father did it. Like, I mean, it's a vicious circle. Again, I blame the woman in that.
So like if you're talking about bringing the man, the woman being at fault for bringing the wrong man into the home, right? What happens? And I know that this is I posted a conversation in Accountable Masculinity, the Facebook group, and I said that 90% of the women that you bump into, well, I haven't met 90% of the black women that I talked to have had an SA event in their life, right? And
what?
Yes, like most people start commenting right underneath there. And then some lady said, I've heard practices like in Hispanic culture where the father is breaking in his daughter.
Whoa.
And somebody said, I've heard the same thing too. And then I got friends that have told me about experiences dating Hispanic women where this has happened in their culture as well. So it's not limited to race, is what I'm saying. But it disproportionately impacts our community way differently than everybody else's. So when I bring up sexual discipline, it's not just a catch-all phrase. It's something that we need if we care about community. How safe is your community without sexual discipline?
It's not safe at all.
It's not safe at all. It's not safe at all. Because if and this goes for the protection of boys too, because there's plenty of teachers getting pregnant by their students.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you could read it down there. It says 29% of males report experiencing sexual violence.
Of young males.
Yeah.
And how much of that is coming from other males? And how
so
much
if you look at both these numbers, we have a problem in society with over sexualization. We really do.
And these numbers reflect that.
Yeah, these numbers definitely reflect that.
And this is current as of March 29th of this year.
Yeah, bro. That's sick, ain't it? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like I
we
think
got to start getting offended enough to talk about this stuff.
Right.
Nobody wants to talk about this stuff when they're not offended by it.
That uncomfortable conversation.
Every demographic of people has a hard stop somewhere. Like I remember black people getting mad at white people because they don't see what racism is doing to black people. But the truth is, until they get offended enough about it and say, hey man, we got to stop doing that, then nothing's going to change. If the same thing applies to men, until men stop allowing or enabling or encouraging, you know what I'm saying, these sexual improprieties and all of this misconduct, you can't expect a better woman to come out of that situation in a society where men are given the green light or giving or acting in this behavior. Because I'm not saying that men are saying go out here and do whatever to them, you know what I'm saying, and act like Vikings. I'm saying that the conversation about what a man is supposed to do and how he's supposed to govern himself sexually is not being lined up in a way where it shames, you know what I'm saying, at some point for being dangerous. You're dangerous. I don't want anything that came out of your household touching my kids.
Right.
That's where you got to
Right.
look at it. It's not
Mhm.
like, and women say this all the time, like, well, you need to treat them like as if you had a daughter. Would you treat your daughter that way? Would you want your daughter treated that way? And then we got to look at women and say, hey, would you want your son being handled by women the way that you handle men?
Right.
It's the full spectrum of it all, because these kids are jumping off the porch at 10 years old, 11 years old, having, you know what I'm saying, the wrong type of sexual contact with each other. When they,
Definitely.
yeah, because like most people, when you talk to them, and if they come out of these single parent homes, most of my consults have had conversations where I was 10, 11 years old, and I was out here selling drugs. And then I was 10, 11 years old, my mom used to pimp me out. I've heard
Mhm.
women say that their mothers pimped them out. Crazy. Crazy. Madness. So if we're gonna sit up here, what do people commonly relate to when you say it's the oldest profession? What is, Antoine? Let me ask you this question. What is popularly known as the oldest profession?
Sex work.
Okay, so that's how important it is.
Right.
If it's known as the oldest profession, then it's probably got the most trauma associated with it.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying. Exactly. That's what I'm
Yep.
trying to say. But that's not going to
Yep.
change, right? Sex
That's
sells.
not,
It will always sell. It'll always be around. But we need to be disciplined on both sides, especially the men, since we lead. Jeez,
rule
man.
number 5.
We lead. A woman can't. We lead. A woman cannot get pregnant on her own. We lead. And if we're
Men
gonna
will,
lead, we gotta be willing to break a few eggs. We gotta be
men will
willing to break a few eggs, man.
that's the problem. We've been breaking eggs with the wrong men.
Mhm.
When I say, but disclaimer, when I say break eggs,
Yeah,
meaning we have to hurt a few feelings to say, guys, come on, man, enough.
yeah.
Stop
Like,
breeding. Stop breeding with these women. Stop.
yeah,
You know she
like
ain't right in the head. You know she needs psychological help. You know she needs therapy.
some of
Just
them
walk
need,
away. Just walk
but
away.
Antoine, listen to this though. Men inherently know that there's a risk that comes with the type of woman that you associate with, whether he's disciplined or undisciplined. Men are on record collectively saying women are crazy, women are selfish, women are that, and they still go run up in it raw and then get shocked when they get put on child support. That's a mental illness. Think about it. The first time you make a mistake is on you. The second time you make a mistake, we talking about as a man, right? The second time you make the same mistake, that's also on you. Nobody did that. And then the third time around, you got to be mentally ill, because repeating the failed process is the definition of insanity, right? And now we having these conversations where
Yeah.
people are saying, men have, why don't you guys go mentor men? So you want us all to be de facto stepdaddies for men that couldn't control their ball sack? That's weird. You know what I'm saying? Especially if the women.
No, but a man.
No, let me finish. Let me finish. I got to make a
A man
point.
takes
Let me finish. What I'm saying, Antoine, listen to this. If men are being encouraged by women to say you need to go hold your fellow men accountable, right? And that comes through conversation. But then, like Kevin, you talked about before, like you go to places where you coaching and mentoring or whatever you're doing with the kids, and they say we need more men like you, right?
Right.
They asking you to dedicate your spare time to go be stepdaddies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Stepdaddy for hire, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But these women ain't fixing to go be stepmamas for hire and regulate women that won't control their womb either. So this group of people that are in the subject matter of this conversation has to fix each other. They have to fix themselves individually first. Nothing changes until you accept what's wrong with you. Until you accept that you made some choices that created the outcome that you're experiencing right now. Nobody did this to you. And even if you did, you have to accept ownership that this is your current situation and then
Right.
grow from that. Even Maya Angelou was out there like that. You know what I'm saying? She experienced a lot of stuff that put her in a conversation of mentorship. But what people do too many times, they want to pull your history and try to say that what you're saying ain't relevant because you had a certain life. Well, at some point you got to get on the other side of it, right? You don't see.
Well, I mean, you
don't
saw in Maya Angelou's documentary, you know, that she was molested as a young child.
Yes, that's the trigger
So there you
point,
go.
bro. Like there is a commonality that all of these people people experience where life intersects, right? And then
Right.
it's a pivot point. After something happens to you, how do you react to it?
Right.
And your level of protection is going to determine how you react and how you pivot. So, like to Antoine's point, where he's like, you can't blame the mothers that have experienced all of this trauma sexually for being overprotective of their daughters. And then here we are on the other side of this conversation trying to figure out where do all these narcissistic women come from. Hey, look, we can't talk about what we can't complain about one side without saying, hey man, let's deconstruct this and say, where could this have triggered from? What's the source? And all humans that are considered to be like-minded, and what being like-minded is, of course, about thinking the same kind of way, right? But behavior is what validates that, because you can repeat the same thing, but then when we get off of here and whatever you do in your off time, it may be completely opposite of what we was talking about. You might get off of here and go do something, you know what I'm saying, nefarious. You might be jeopardizing your home. Antoine might be, you know what I'm saying, playing with some pills or something they ain't got no business playing with. You know, you can't have it all, but being emotionally disciplined enough to recognize that how you feel and how you think and how you behave and act on it, it could have some dire consequences. And your behavior impacts everybody, whether you want to believe it or not. So I just wanted to say that piece right there.
Right. You know, like Vic, the only thing I'm saying to challenge, not to challenge it actually, is a statement. Men make the mistake with insertion, women make the mistake in exception, right? In conception. Men make that, those are two clear mistakes that we are making, right? I'm just operating from a leader. I'm a leader. I've never made a mistake in that area, never will. I will never get fooled by a woman. That ain't ever going, because I'm secure in who I am, right? I'm not getting any taller. I know where I fit into the totem pole. I give myself a 6 at my age right now. You know, when I was younger, I think I would have given myself a little 7.5, 8, you know. But I put myself in this. I put myself in a 6 right now. I'm realistic. I put myself in a, remember, Vic, I changed my mindset. Most women I'm going to meet are probably going to have a kid, or they're going to be married at least once or something. I'm in that category. I'm in the category where, okay, if I do meet a woman with a kid, I'm vetting the man that she had the kid with more than her, because I'm going to make sure that this guy is cool, that I'm dating her now, because I don't want no trouble in my life. And if he has a problem with it, her and I are done, because I can't afford any mistakes in that area. I'm not at the age no more, and I definitely ain't throwing down with somebody, right?
Right.
I'm not doing it, not getting the cops involved. I am walking away. Now, that being said, men are always talking about being a leader. Being a leader means you keep it in your pants. Being a leader is you use good judgment. That all depends on being a leader, not just providing in the home. And men today need to say that. If we are leaders, we're going to speak properly about them. We're going to speak properly about women. We're going to conduct ourselves. We're not going to call them 304s, because that's what you talk to. I can't. Any woman that I know, I can't call her 304. Why am I talking to her? Because she's a 304. I'm not talking to her, right? So I'm not going to have that conversation. I'm not going to come online and tell you that. So I think men need, if we want to be leaders, we have to change the outcomes that's there right now. And changing the outcomes starts with us being disciplined with our dicks. I'm sorry.
So let me read this right here, and then let me read this right here to capture what you just said right there, Antoine, and then we're gonna get to a video that Cavi's got pulled up. So, accountable masculinity rule number 5 is sexual discipline. Men must exercise sexual discipline in order to be seen as credible leaders and to maximize their opportunities. Sexually disciplined men are the only trustworthy men. Sexual discipline is defined as the internal self-regulation of sexual urges and impulses, and it's accompanied decision-making, because you make bad decisions when you focus on the box, okay? Sexual discipline is essential to the overall health of society. A society that lacks sexual discipline foments distrust and will likely cause negative impacts on family structure and community integrity. Does anybody disagree with what I just said?
No.
Well, go get the book.
No.
You go get the book. But Kevin, what you got on this video of him?
I,
Pull it
I
up.
ain't got nothing on this video. I ain't got nothing on this video. Go ahead and bring it up though. Bring
Let's
up
see
the
what you got
screen.
there, because I know you
Yeah, I
had
just
something
want to
else.
go ahead. You know, not that right there. Not that right there. I'm gonna go ahead and share. Let's see here. This right here.
Okay,
You
yeah,
know,
we'll go ahead and do that.
yeah. So this book right here, you know, Accountable Masculinity, is definitely available in Kindle edition, hardcover, and paperback. So definitely go purchase this book right here, because at the end of the day, it's got a lot of great answers, you know, and it explains a lot in what we need to do as men, because at this point, brothers, I think we kind of dropped the ball, you know, and I think that's where we're at this point, you know.
Yeah.
Both sides hold some type of accountability, right? But I think that ours is a little bit heavier than theirs.
Yeah, but we got to
you
take
know.
ownership. Like, it's weak for
Yeah.
men to be blaming women for everything. Now, you could say on one side that the problems that they may have are some of it is self-inflicted too at some point. Like, they can't blame the men that didn't do anything to them. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, we had that process of elimination, the men that you can't blame. You can't blame the men that you didn't make your kids with.
Nope.
You can't blame the men that are virgins. You can't blame the married men that had their kids in wedlock. And you can't blame the men that you're not attracted to. So when you break that down, which men can you blame? The only ones that you had contact with. The men that you've had contact with, the weak ones, represent
the liars.
The liars. They come
the
from
deceivers.
They come from the same pool.
We men don't take accountability.
Yep. Exactly. They come from the same line of thought. And that's on you in terms of like what you're attracting. Because attraction is personal responsibility.
Right.
Nobody else can change your individual attraction.
Right.
You have to have something that validates or sends off a signal as to, hey, this is the type of person that I keep attracting over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Because when at some point men have to stop taking out their anger on women that they don't want either. And that's the people that fit into the red pill space. You know what I'm saying? That's they can't blame women that they can't attract.
And I think that'd be a good one for the next show to talk about is starting to talk about the men that are part of that red pill or manosphere.
The extremist factors of it.
Right. And really explain where that's coming from, because Vic, we had a long conversation about where that's coming from, you know, and it's because pretty much a lot of it's because men couldn't get what they wanted, whether it be in high school or in younger age, 20 through 30,
that first
whatever.
25 years of abstinence,
right.
Messed them up.
Right. Messed them up pretty much, you know, because at the end of the day, they're like, well, these women are so shallow out here because I really wanted this one and I really wanted this one and I really wanted this one. Well, here's the thing. Like, you wasn't looking at Jessica, she was a 7.5 and she was pretty. She had a great personality and she liked you. You know what I'm saying? But you wasn't looking at Jessica. You was looking at Aaliyah. Aaliyah had to be a 10.
Yeah, because men choose the wrong women too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like women choose the wrong men. But you got to have enough sexual discipline that even if you choose the wrong woman, you don't create life with the wrong
woman.
And that lets you know there's a lot more emotional decision making being made, impulsive decision making being made, transactional decision making being made, you know, and throwing risk out the window. So that to me sounds like desperation.
Let me ask you something. I'll ask both of you gentlemen something. When it came to talking about sex when you were a child, who had that conversation with you? Was it your mother or your father?
It was
father.
Yeah, it was both my parents, but it went like this because there was still sex education in school when I was
Mm.
young enough. They,
Nobody paid attention to that bullshit.
Yeah, me
but
too.
like I'm saying, like we actually had sex education where it was on the rollout TV,
Yeah,
and they shows what was going on, and
right.
and our teachers was like, you better pay this some attention. So that's the one thing I can say that actually stuck, you know what I'm saying, from that time. And then you come home, and then you got, my mom would say, if you go make some kids, you're gonna have to leave out of this house and go get your own roof to take care of. And
Mm-hmm.
then my dad would support that same thing, you know what I'm saying, right away. You can't
Mm-hmm.
bring children into this house. You have to go get your own house, and you got to go take care of the woman you made the kids with.
Mm-hmm.
That was the rule. You know what I'm saying? So they put it in a other people will hear it now and it will sound like fear mongering. But the reality is I came from a household that says if you do this, this happens to you every time. There was like no left or right wiggle room on things because they
Okay.
knew how harsh the world really was.
Okay.
So
All right.
especially as latchkey kids, so we had to hurry up and get home, and you know what I'm saying, and mind our business. So it wasn't no wiggle room. You did your homework before you turned the TV on and stuff like that. The
Right.
structure of it was important.
Antoine, how did that conversation come about in your household?
I learned from it from school, and I asked my brother first because they're older than me, and then I went to mom and I said, "Mom, I learned about sex today in school." She said, "What did you learn?" I said, "I learned how babies get pregnant and stuff like that." And all I remember that conversation, because it's so long ago, was saying something about a fallopian tube and and all that shit.
Come
Right?
back, Antoine.
And
You
then
said about babies getting pregnant. You come back. You said you learned something about babies getting pregnant.
Yeah, you said how babies get
no,
pregnant. I
I
was
learned how babies. Sorry, I learned how women get pregnant, and then I remember saying something about. All I remember something about the fallopian tube and the egg dropping and all that. I took that to my mother, and my mom said, "That is right, son. But I need you to talk to your father about that." I went to my dad, and my dad. I remember my dad saying, "Did you like what you saw?" I said, "Well, yeah, I guess." And then he said, "Well, don't bring no woman home that you don't want to, that you ain't gonna marry, and don't put it
uh,
anywhere inside something you can't. Don't put it in anything you can't afford to take care of.
right, right. I will.
Everything else
Yeah.
is pure pleasure."
I was
That's how
I
that
was told that I
conversation
was
went.
told
So
that
I
same exact thing. Yeah. So we all kind of had the
right
same type of
there you go.
experience when it comes to that. And that's the reason why we all think the way we do.
Yeah,
Now we have to ask ourselves, for those undisciplined men
exactly.
out here, did they have that conversation with those dudes?
That's
And the
how
answer
I
is
know.
probably no.
And it's probably no. And that's why I say, generally speaking, the people in this in the sexually undisciplined community, you know what I'm saying, that create
Right.
children out of wedlock are
Right.
typically come from single mother homes because there's no man in the house to regulate young boys on his on you know what I'm saying, on his sexual responsibility.
Right.
And the same is also true for girls with different outcomes, you
You
know.
would you would think if you were a single mother though, you would think that she would ram that home,
Yeah,
not to
but I would say
not to
this,
be a sexual deviant. She would ram that home. You would think that.
but I would say this though, some things hit different when it comes from a different space. Your mom can say something to you that has an impact on you differently than your father can say something to you because like
Correct.
your dad might be saying it from an authoritative space. He
Mm-hmm.
means well, but most men don't have the articulation or the emotional articulation that a woman has. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it could be reversed. You know what I'm saying? Like you could you see like how, again, mothers and daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
See the way that mothers are on their daughters' heads, you know what I'm saying? And then there's the rebellion is different. But how many times have men protected their daughters by being there to deal with certain problems, saying, I got that. You don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't need to deal with this issue because that man would know how his wife, if they're married, or if they're good, got a good co-parenting relationship, you're not equipped to deal with that the way it needs to be dealt with. You're gonna scare her off, and she's gonna go do something else reckless, right? How many daughters have been scared out of the house because they've been restricted and they dealt with the rebellion from that. Men don't have every single tool. We don't. But women don't have every single tool either. The numbers show that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's why this is so easy to see. I know where it's coming from. And you could challenge all day, not even you, but just anyone that's watching, is that get on camera and show me some data that says it's not coming from single parent structure. And who's raising the boys that perpetuate the single parent structure? Remember that night we looked at all those stats?
Right. We can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it on the numbers. So yeah, I get it. Like I said, it just surprises me that that they don't talk about this enough
Go
to
get
their
the book.
boys. That's the thing. Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like this stuff ain't hard to see, man.
But they're not around for them to talk about it anyway.
Say that again.
They're not. The men aren't around. Again, the men aren't around for that conversation to happen.
Well, right. and that's why like this particular topic is started with the women, and then the men take ownership of it. But we're having the conversation that puts the boundary between the men that care about women having better outcomes and feeling more safe in society than the men that's probably already locked up, that's probably gotten hemmed up behind the sexual improprieties. So because that's the point. There's an institution out there for your bad behavior. If you out here, it's only so long that you can go out here and hurt women and children as a man deliberately if you got an untamed sexual appetite before you get hemmed up. And the streets gonna deal with you, because we see plenty of times that like for instance, right, you remember that rapper named Trouble when he was at that woman's house, and she fresh out, he in another man's old situation, and it ain't even been like enough time in between that. Just like in the Tyler Perry movie where she had Benji upstairs when in the house, and she knows she still got this fool chasing her around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So women ain't exempt from this either. You got to put some distance between you and your failed situations also, because you're putting other people's lives in jeopardy, even your own.
I think if we have the
just like I want to say this, just like Antoine said, there are men that are lying to get into women's pants, right? To get under the skirt and all that. But there are plenty of women that are telling more lies that put men's lives in jeopardy too.
This is true.
You can't have one without the other. You know what I'm saying? So we looking at the symptom on one side, and then you got to follow it until it leads back to the source. So women lying a lot too. Right. And it's more women than it is men.
And you that's the reason why we have to have the dialogue, with women, and say, okay, we have to come to some type of equilibrium here, ladies, because we realize that we do things wrong. We realize that you do things wrong. How can we restore trust? You know what I'm saying? In this whole thing between especially black men and black women, because right now we're in trouble. This looks bad.
It's a wrap.
It almost looks like it's a wrap, but hey, look, we came a long way, so we can keep on coming a long way.
And
so
that's why I said put the disciplined people on one side and the undisciplined on the other.
Right,
because
right.
We're not here to control nobody.
No, hell no.
Because I want to work with people that care about the same interests, the like-minded people that also they're not just fans. They are willing to do the intellectual work that it takes to understand how we got here, and then be more responsible with the history of how we got here, and then moving forward. That's why when we bring up history, it's just a pivot point. We were doing this, we were doing better when we was doing this. Well, what was going on when we were doing better? And when you look back, like that book, The Black Bourgeoisie, it was published in 1957. They still had the same problems that we're talking about right now. So now Here we are again in another iteration of the same problem set. Now we got a decision to make. We can't take everybody with us, man.
Very true.
You can't. You got to accept your losses and have casualties. You know what I'm saying? But hey, this has been a great show. Some hard talking points. Appreciate you, gentlemen, for participating in this discussion. Antoine, you've been great. Anything you want to say before you get off of here?
Loud over there in your house, man.
And again, I just think, and I'll say it again, I think that men need to be the leaders they talk about, and I don't mean in a financial and providing way. I think men need to take more responsibility of their actions, and if the women don't want to call them out for themselves, men need to do better, and men need to stop reading with these women and stop creating what they don't want to see. That's what I think. And I think if we're leaders and we want to be providers and we want them to submit and all this shit, then you got to be the man to put your foot down, break a few eggs, and I'm not talking physically, break a few eggs, hurt their feelings, and not sleep with them, not procreate with them, and say, this is the type of woman I'm looking for, and I'm going to hold ground until I get it. I'm going to wait. And if the woman needs help, then you got to wait till she's gotten the help. You can't just breed because you're horny, and you can't just sleep with her because you want your needs met. You have to be a man, and you have to be that guy. You have to be that leader to say, walk away. Walk away. If it's not good enough to marry, and that's what you're looking for, why are you sleeping with it? That's it.
Makes sense to me.
Fair enough. With that being said, hey, welcome to the Solutions Only podcast, and we're out. See you next week.
Peace.